Greetings, my fellow explorers and scientists. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Synergy. Episode 3, The Anchoring. The Anchoring. An organization of researchers called The Anchoring has undertaken the construction of an outpost to take a census of thriving populations in the area. During their search, they come across a declining town, affected by an anomaly whose mystery we need to unravel. I'm going to be playing in original mode. Creative mode is like easy. Original is normal. Anchoring. The world as we know it is frightfully small. Our lives are short and our days exhausting. We scrape our food off stones, eating it the very same day. We live in isolation and are not sufficiently aware of other human beings living beyond the seas of sand to regret our parting with them. However, not everyone accepts this condition as inevitable. We are an organization of explorers and researchers named The Anchoring. Its mission is to try to connect isolated populations. Today, and for the first time, we call on our members to gather and take an anthropological census of the area. Before that, however, we need to lay our outpost's first foundations. Our first mission is therefore to provide our researchers with adequate shelter and to build first necessity structures. Okay. One thing to note is some of the flora will be familiar from last, which will be the same. So the giant fungus is the same giant fungus, and the cabbage shrubs are the same cabbage shrubs. But there's lots of other flora that is different, like bunch trees, or hatted trees, or petrified giants. And you don't necessarily know the properties of these at the start. So there is a little bit of like push for replayability of like learn the lay of the land and then maybe restart. I, however, already know, but let's get going. So the first thing that we're going to want to do here is to set up some simple water filtration. So we have this sort of central river stream that we'll draw from. Put the pontoon there. And I'll stick a water tower there. We're also going to want to be able to get out there more quickly. So a path out that way. We're going to have to decide where to initially build. And generally speaking, shade is ideal. So here is the shadow map. So the hatted trees and the bunch trees and the straw trees, or rather, the hatted trees and the straw trees provide shade. Looks like the bunch trees don't. It says they're shady, so there's something about them that is causing them not to be shady. When planning, we also have some other information. So there's well-being. People like to live around the hatted trees, it seems, and the beaky bells. So there's like a nicer cluster of well-being around here. In order to get ambient temperature, we still need a field laboratory. So what it might be worth doing, because we already know from the tutorial that the cabbage shrubs are pickable, is to set up a picker's cabin around them. And then set up a field laboratory. What we want to set up our field laboratory probably where people are going to live so that it provides knowledge. So maybe I'll set it up over here in that spot. Provide a road to it like that. Now this field laboratory is throwing errors because I don't have any technological artifacts to be able to build it with. So there are ruins on the map where you can collect technological artifacts. So I'm going to head out to the ruins and collect some of those so that we can actually build the field lab. Now we know that boreal rock is really useful for creating housing. So I'm going to build a little road down to the boreal rock outcropping so that we can collect the rock more quickly and bring it back to our warehouse. And we also don't have a warehouse, so I'm going to set one up now as well. Set a warehouse up here. And then I'm going to set a cellar up here. There's also another boreal rock outcropping or emanation there. So I'll put a road down to it. And that should provide some raw resources to set up homes. As I mentioned previously, there are three types of homes. There's stone ones, stone and bark, and stone and tree branches. And I don't know how readily available bark and tree branches are on this map tile, so I'm going to set up the initial homes just of stone. We do, unlike the tutorial, start off with a very decent amount of cooked meals and water. So I don't need to... It's not an emergency to set up that infrastructure, but it's also not something to be forgotten, right? You're definitely going to want to set up water and food pretty early on, or you're going to run into some big problems. So, set up 5 stone homes and 1 cellar. 1, 2... 3, 4, 5. All within the sphere of influence of the field laboratory and the cellar. And then I would say the most important thing to build right now is the field lab, because we can't really exploit the resources of the plants here without the field lab first. So we have the purification basins, but because I haven't collected any toxic water, there's no point in putting anyone working in there yet. We're going to want to collect at least some toxic water first. Just looking around to see if there's other interesting things about the map. Like an island. That's pretty cool. Alright, so the field lab is done. For now, I'm only going to employ 2 people in the field lab. And let's do some basic analysis of the beaky bells, the hatted trees, the orange hydra tree. We will also do the cabbage shrubs, even though we have interacted with the cabbage shrubs before. And let's also do these straw trees. And then as we finish that queue, I'll add some others to the list. So there are only 2 rock emanations here, it seems. Yeah. Got it. All right. Beaky bell stems are similar to liana stems. To collect them, just rip out the plants. And they also swell with water when it reaches maturity, so you can pick it for clean water. So they don't seem to be particularly useful by ripping or picking. But perhaps there's other actions that we can do to them with additional technological research that makes them more useful later on. Hatted trees can be ripped out from the ground, allowing you to collect their trunk. Okay. All right, let's also then queue up fungus again. And riverbank fingers, although we already know those. Might as well re-obtain the information. And I'm going to prioritize this cellar so that food and water can be hauled to the cellar, because that's going to allow the houses around it to be supplied. And I'm going to say only clean water and simple dishes and loaves of bread, not raw resources. The orange hydra trees can be ripped out of the ground for tree trunks as well. These things. All right, let's add Petrified Giant to the queue. And I wonder if there's anything I missed. Probably. Yeah, there's some cinder sprouts out west that I overlooked. And all but one of the stone houses are now built, so we're almost done with the anchoring initial quest. So unlike the last map tile, there doesn't seem to be diluvian bushes here. So where our food comes from, we don't yet know. We now have all the necessary basic equipment for our outpost, but seem to be victims of our own success. The call to join the anchoring reached more people than expected. Scientists, neophytes, onlookers are arriving from all over to trade for knowledge. If we don't increase our food yield, we risk a lack in resources. We need to anticipate these needs and collect as much food and clean water as possible. Build a kitchen, collect simple dishes and clean water. So with the collection of clean water, I'm going to increase the amount of people working in the purification basins and the pontoon. And then for the kitchen, we know from last time that there is an adjacency bonus for some of the research that is available. I'm also going to rip out some of these beaky bells that are blocking building path. Cabbage shrubs. Okay, so we've reobtained that knowledge. And the pickers now will pick the cabbage shrubs that are in the immediate area. Some of these shrubs might fall under a district's zoning. Not all districts will care about smelly plants, so it really depends on the types of districts that we set up. So I might want to consider that when district planning, because we have cabbage shrubs pretty close to where our houses are. Of course, I could always decide to center the district elsewhere too. But I'm going to set up a research building there. And then maybe a kitchen here. Straw trees. Straw trees have trunks that can be ripped out, and also we can pick them for watery pods. So the straw trees are going to be our watery pod sources. And to that end, I'm going to set up another picker's cabin here, because there's a bunch of straw trees around, and we'll pick them for their watery pods. So we now have a source of vegetables and water pods for food. The amount of work that I have set up for everybody with the amount of building that I have is like crippling. So the purification basins aren't even getting the delivered toxic water from the pontoon, for instance. So there's some bottlenecks in just logistics, which will be solved given a little bit of time. Giant fungus. It's invasive, and we can rip it out. So I will do just that. It's sometimes helpful to leave one in case I have food shortages. We can have the fungus spread again, so that it's a renewable source of food in case of shortages. That's not always necessarily useful, but in this case, I'll collect all but one, leaving one to keep spreading. If you were wondering, it is possible in some circumstances to eliminate a certain plant from your map tile. It's hypothetically possible, so you should be careful not to do that if that's something you want to avoid. All right, let's also analyze the bunch trees. And I think that might be everything. Oh, the cinder sprouts. And here's the other picker cabin, which will give us the watery pods from the straw trees. All right, research center is done. First research I want to key up might be tool production. That's a pretty important one. And to start to unlock that, I need technological artifacts. So let's go to one of these tech ruins and go collect the artifacts. Riverbank fingers. We can rip them out for seeds or trim them to kill them. Already knew that. The assignment tower is almost done, which will help with a lot of the logistic bottlenecks that we have right now, with not getting water out to our houses and the like. I'll assign 4 people to that. Petrified giants can be ripped out for boreal rock, can be picked for mushrooms, or trimmed for boreal rock. So these petrified giants can be trimmed for stone, which makes stone slightly more renewable than before for the last map, because the last map relied upon rocky emanations, which was something that I couldn't directly modify, right? It just pops up when it does. All right, I'm going to highly prioritize this cellar so that the stone houses over here get delivered water, because not having water in the cellar there reduces the child birth rate, which isn't super useful. The bunch tree. Ripping it out will give soft fibers and bark. All right, what do we have left? So we only have the cinder sprouts. Did I miss anything? I don't think I did. So if you hit like F, as in Foxtrot, it will show you all the plants that you can interact with, which allows you to like quickly highlight things that you might have overlooked. I don't think I've missed any. So I think all of the native plants, the endemic plants to this area, I have analyzed once we finish up the cinder sprout. Big Face, thank you for the resub. And Mikas as well. So the goal is to have food and water, and I now have 5 people doing water, 4 people picking for food, and then 1 person cooking for food. I'll put 2 people cooking for food. So we should have the old friends anchoring quest done soon. And as soon as the cinder sprout analysis is done, we can have these 2 people back in the workforce. It's a pretty long way to come all the way out to the cinder sprout, which is why it's taken a while. Just travel time's lengthy. I am going to destroy the starting stock so that we can put that in our stock warehouses instead, because I have room. Last report, cinder sprouts can be ripped out, picked, or trimmed. Which means our field lab can shut down for now. Alright, I have the technological artifacts for tool production, so I'm going to start that research now. And I'll put 2 people working in there. Probably the same 2 people that were in the field lab. So now there's a lot of logistical hauling to be done here. And my picker's cabins, this one in particular, is completely full of watery pods. It has no more storage. So I just hit a priority for it so that the haulers will haul for it. And I'll put 5 people working as haulers, because with the destruction of that initial stock, we have a lot of extra hauling to do. All right. Food and water has been supplied. Now, if you look up here, my water supply is still pretty critical, so I'm definitely going to want to keep people working on that. The latest arrivals are disappointed with the scientific equipment at their disposal. Also, they believe we haven't performed the necessary preliminary analysis during our anthropological mission. Any lack of knowledge about the area exposes our team to useless risks. However, they are offering to start these analyses and want a field laboratory dedicated to botany and mycology, along with a research center to bring together all of the technological projects. All we have to do is build these things using the blueprints they shared with us. So build a field lab, build a research center, and have 6 houses with level 4 knowledge. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses already. In order to get 4 knowledge out of them, all I would really need to do is to employ more people in the field lab and research center, and that should kick up the amount of knowledge provided by in the area. And done. That was easy. An excavation team on a specific mission has joined us. Its members would like to use our outpost to search for items they call tablets. These tablets are parts of one of the greatest mysteries behind the creation of the anchoring. Many communities scattered all around the world have started digging out such tablets simultaneously without any conscious ambition or coordination of any kind. Although these stone tablets are engraved with unknown glyphs, everyone seems to intuitively understand them. Each one has triggered a technological leap for those who have discovered them. So, it would be wise to start some excavation work right now if we want our scientific equipment to evolve. So unlock exploration missions, explore a new area, and find tablets. Oh, I know what's going on. Our cellar doesn't allow for watery pods or vegetables, so that is why the pickers' cabins are full. So I'm fixing that now. We do have a dry season coming in 2 cycles, so I should prepare for that as well. So we just got a forge research so we can make tools. And the goal here is for exploration. So let's go up here to the exploration mission research and get that unlocked. And then it would also be wise to set up a forge. So I'll set up a forge here right next to the warehouse that we have built so that we can start making tools. Can't really have technological progress without tools, can you? I can also collect the technological artifacts from the ruins around and put them into storage. Might as well queue that up. I think that's all of them on the starting map tile. And I'm changing the recipe from mushroom stew to pod stew, as we now have like kind of a renewable source of the stuff we need for pod stews. So water's looking good, meals are looking good. Pretty square on that. I am building 1 extra house now, just so that we have more pop growth, because we had filled all the previous houses. And in 6 days, we'll have exploration missions unlocked. I'll even build an extra house. A growing city is one with a brighter future, I think. provided that you can supply the food and water, and that doesn't seem to be a problem for us just yet. Alright, the forge is done. And we will make tools out of water and stone. I am going to need to free up some workforce because we don't have enough people to go on explorations once we have exploration missions unlocked. I could reduce the amount of people working in the research center. Or pontoon, perhaps. But with the dry season coming, I'd rather stockpile water. So that's done. Next thing, let's see. We can extract water from wells. We could do healthcare. We could do arboriculture. I'm going to have you guys decide. Research. Wells. Market Square. Healthcare. Arboriculture, which is like tree picking, you can think. Or Hall of Wisdom. Hall of Wisdom would be for cultural advancements. So, let me show you the poll. There it is. I can give you 2 minutes to vote on that. While I fire everyone working in the research center so that they can build the exploration hut faster. So I'm going to put the explorer's hut, put the explorer's hut here. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason why I picked that spot. I just did. If you were wondering. I just wanted it kind of out of the way. And then I'll have you guys pick what kind of new area to explore. It seems to me like I'm going to call this one early. We'll invest in some well research. So that would be advanced harvest methods for water extraction from the wells. In order to do that, I need tools first. So we're going to get our first batch of tools pretty soon. And then I'll be able to use those to research wells. So, where to explore? So, there is a quest location in the swamp. So, main quest swamp or somewhere local. So, somewhere local would be Smoke Cloud, Dune, Strange Glow, or Camp. And for us to get to the main quest swamp, we need to first explore the lake shores. So the way this works is each zone is locked until you first establish sort of like an outpost in the area. And then once you establish an outpost, you can then subsequently search the areas around in that region. You love the clouds in the overview map? Oops. Yeah. They're nice. I also like the curvature and just the details. The aesthetics of this game is very pleasing. Alright. Looks like you guys want to search somewhere local. So, I'm going to head to the smoke clouds, just to the west of our camp here. But in order to do that, I need to free up some additional work force. So I'm going to reduce the research down to 2 and the kitchen down to 1, so that we can deploy an expedition to the smoke clouds. So what to research next? Let me type these up. So for each individual building, there are also improvements that you can sometimes research. So for instance, I can increase the vegetable or watery pod picking efficiency, which would require a lot of tools, but that's fine. So I'll include those nodes as well for future pulling. So we've got Hall of Wisdom for cultural advancements. We got the picking cabin. We got arboriculture. Healthcare. Market Square, which is a social district. And that's all that I think matters at the moment. I'll have you vote on that for once I'm finished with the current research. Oh, actually, put that on pause, because we have a decision to make here. The explorers approach a huge tree they spotted from the hills. They hope to collect some bark, branches, and fruit. However, when they arrive at the grove around the tree, they feel a persistent gas filling their lungs. They find themselves feeling confused and start thinking they can see giants with legs projecting sharp shadows amongst the trees. Many flee the danger, and soon enough, the party's objective is all but forgotten. What would we like to do? We can try and prepare an antidote, which is a dice roll. We can take some purifying remedies, which is the medicine that we have in our stockpile, that we have a finite amount of, and I'm not currently manufacturing, but could, if I got healthcare research, or we can flee the area. All right, looks like rolling the die here. All right. The botanists are able to identify the chemical component disturbing the explorer's neurological functions. Fortunately, a plant that can neutralize this effect grows in abundance near the forest rocks. By chewing its stems, which turns the tongue blue, explorers can return to their normal state in less than an hour and complete their rescue mission. So, we have collected cereal grains, thorns, and seeds. Alright, back to the research. So if you're wondering about the purifying remedies, I have 20 of them in stock, so it would have been half of what we have. Just as a future reference. The game makes it pretty abundantly clear, I think, that exploration is inherently dangerous. So basically I'm saying the dice roll can often lead to people just dying. It's not always the worst choice, But just keep that in mind. So as far as water holes go, there is one adjacent to our picker's cabin here, which we can set up a well for. Oh, there's more ruins. I missed that. Where's some other well spots? That might be the only one. Alright, the expedition has returned, and I'm going to send them back out. I'm going to send them to the dune. Just to the west. I don't think I see any other wells, so I think it's just that one well. And it looks like healthcare is going to be our next research. Got it. Thank you for tuning in to Synergy, which originally streamed live on Twitch June 18th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has linked to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow city survivors.